Hey guys, welcome to the Mansy's podcast. We are the Mansys. This is podcast number 4, brought to you by Bill Athletic. Go and check them out at billathletic.com, and Urban Gyms, CrossFit Urban Health and Fitness. Check them out on socials or on their websites.
Play the music.
Okay. Today's podcast, we are going to learn a little bit about Adam and get a little insight on his life up until this point. Owning businesses, parenthood, and training. A little bit about that. So, to start off with, a lot of people don't know. They think you're from New Zealand, Adam. Let us know where you were born, your nationality, a little bit about where you're from.
So I was born in Brisbane, 1987. So I'm 22 still.
Wow, you can't count.
So 34. My mother was Australian and my father was Egyptian.
So he's not even from New Zealand, guys.
I just got a really good tan.
He's got that Egyptian glow.
So, yeah, upbringing, brought up in Brisbane pretty much my whole life until I was like 18 years old.
And what schools did you go to?
So I went to a few. The primary school. Well, previously when we first, as a young kid, we grew up in the Red Bank Plains area. When I was probably like 1 to 3 maybe. And then we ended up moving down into the Logan area. So we grew up in a place called Kurraby, which is the suburb, and went to primary school there. It was called Warrigal Road. It was just maybe 10 minutes down the road. And then as I got older, we moved up. I went to McGregor, which is about the Malcolm-Vat area in the Logan bit. And then finished grade 10, went to Sunnybank to finish off the last couple of years, and then finished school in like 2006. I went back and I did 2005, and then I went back and did 2006.
Why'd you go back?
Just to
tell us the truth.
Sporting achievements.
That's what they call it. Got get back. So growing up, you only had your mum. Daddy-o was not around. How was that, and how has that shaped you to who you've become and what you've achieved today?
So it didn't really, as a young kid, when your father leaves early, you don't really know that you have a dad anyway. So you can remember back and seeing a few photos of him and a few little times that you might have shared with him, but it doesn't come to mind as much. So just realizing that you don't have a dad, it was until about between 10 and 12 years old when you kind of understand that, other kids have a dad and then you don't have one. So prior to that, it was kind of normal. It was more just my mum trying to survive. She moved us from Red Bank Plains to get out of that area, to put us in a better one, which was kind of like the Logan area. And she did the best she could. Whatever we needed, she would get for us. Main thing that she would give us was somewhere to live and food on the table always. We would never go hungry. We might have had the finer things in life, but whatever she could come up with,
she can make good food.
She can make really good food, and she would. That's how she would show her love for us, by, providing the necessities, not giving the add-ons like, all right, we're going out, for a family trip. The money wasn't there, so, she did it by making food which didn't cost that much. She put love into it by doing it that way, and those are the memories that I remember of my mum growing up and doing whatever it took. If it was taking us to sport, taking us to sport. If we couldn't afford it, she would find a way. I don't know how she did it, but she'd find a way.
And how has that helped you now that you're older? How has that helped you with your children and your family?
When you grow up without two people in your family, you kind of become more independent. So I guess it can be a good way in a sense that you get to live life a little bit earlier because you learn to be more independent on yourself and figure out things in your life, what you need. Because your mum's there, but we had 5 other kids. So she needs to figure out, all right, how do I do with everybody? So as I got older, you became more independent. You learned to catch the public transport to go where you wanted to go. You learned to, once you got money, you didn't just spend it and waste it. You saved a little bit, used it, because you didn't know if it was going to come back. Because obviously your mum couldn't have any money to be able to give back to you and say, here son, here's $100, go out for the weekend. Getting a job when I was 15 or 16 was probably one of the best things, because it taught you how to have your own money, save for things. If you wanted stuff, you could buy it, work hard. But she has a really good work ethic. That's one thing in my family, is work ethic, and that's what I have learned from her, is to pretty much work as hard as possible. Even if it's a cleaning job, she would be the best cleaner. She would work day and night to be able to do the best job to be able to provide. So for me, it's working. If I had to work day and night for my family to give them food or the necessities, then that's what I have instilled in myself, learning from her.
Okay. So going on from that, is there someone that you, when you were younger, looked up to more than others, or is there some, could be a sports person, could be anyone in your family that you looked up to and admired?
There's probably no one that I looked up to and admired. Football was my life. Playing in the NRL was my dream since I was like 5 when I started, and there wasn't any superstars that I would look up to. I liked them all, but the main person in my life that affected my life and would help me the most would have been, I think, under 13s or under 14s coach. His name was John Buchanan, and he pretty much put everything that he could to help me to get what I would want. Or if I needed a lift to training, he would pick me up. If I needed a lift to the game, he would take me to the game. He was always calling. He was always helping out. So that one person in my life helped me to try and become the best footballer that I could. In the end, when you get so many injuries and everything sort of falls away, you sort of have to give it up and then move on. So I got to that point when I was about 24, and I thought, I'm not making any money off this. I don't really want to keep going, and I don't want to keep hurting myself. But yeah, he definitely changed my life a bit by the dedication he had to, it wasn't just me, but it was the players in our team. All the players came back from a similar background. They didn't have heaps of money. They were all from poorer communities as well. But he was willing to put the effort in because he could see potential.
Awesome. And he was the same coach that Saban had?
Yeah, Saban had him in his Queensland. He was his Queensland coach. Saban speak highly of as well.
Said same thing. Loves John Buchanan.
Yeah, great man. Still coaches today, I'm pretty sure, in the Queensland Cup. He's been around a few clubs, but yeah, great man.
Awesome. So, switching it around a little, what are some of your hidden talents?
Ooh. I have many.
Oh.
I'm one of those...
There's very few...
Growing up, I'm one of those people who can pick up anything, most things to do with sports. Not be the greatest at it, but I can do it. So I can play a sport and then I'll pick it up. Anything musical, anything like that, drama, I wouldn't even go there. But anything sport-wise, I could pick it up. And then
hidden talents, Guzzy.
That's a hidden talent. And then also, back in my day, I was a carpenter. Did my time. I did my 4-year
Still
apprenticeship.
tries to make things now.
So now I can build whatever I like. Gives you the concept of how to build things. So I have an understanding of it. Not the greatest at it, but I will still have a go.
Can still build.
That was probably the biggest achievement I have achieved. Sticking at a 4-year apprenticeship, doing carpentry in the construction industry, was 4 years is a long time. And when you're an apprentice, you don't get treated the greatest. But if you hang in there, things eventually get better, which it did.
Look at you now. Okay, so run us through talking about jobs that you've had. What was your first job? What was your best job? Your most favorite job? And then what do you do now?
So my very first job, it was my mum's boyfriend at the time. He used to be the manager at KFC. This was when I was like 15 or 16. So he got me a job there as a cook out the back. I said, I don't want to be in the counter because I don't like to talk to people because I was a bit shy.
Wow, total opposite now.
Now it's like amazing. And then
KFC, okay.
So KFC, I used to be the cook at the back. So I learned how to do that. It was pretty good because the best thing is that you get to eat the food at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's your favorite KFC food?
Oh, I haven't eaten in a while because I don't really like it that much anymore. But I would just, at the end of the night, I would make my own burger. So it could be like, it was just loaded with whatever was left. Like chicken strips, fillets, bacon, cheese,
So just
whatever.
a chicken,
Just a massive burger.
chicken burger.
Yeah. And then that's it. I would do that a couple of times. Pretty much every time I'd work, I would eat. So I ended up putting on too much weight.
So you're real trim.
Real trim. Ended up putting on too much weight there. But that was when I was 15 or 16. So then I was still in school. And then my next job.
What was your favorite job?
Oh, my favorite job. Well, my next job after that, I ended up leaving when I finished school. I didn't really have a plan. So I kind of jumped in with whatever, which was factory work, which is the norm for most if you don't really have a plan. So I ended up loading and unloading shipping containers.
And then what happened after that?
Which was terrible.
What happened after that job?
After that job, I then met Jaylee when I was 19. And she asked her dad.
The light has come.
She asked
I am
her
here.
dad.
I will save you.
Her dad probably wanted me more than her at that time. But yeah, it was that was my first start into construction. So I used to work for a dad in the sweet ass shotcrete pumping, it was called, and
making pools.
So it's about 3.5 years I did that when I was about 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
And finished up that. It was probably the hardest job in the world that I've ever done and you will ever do.
Try it out someday, guys.
Props to him. He's still, what is he,
57,
57, and he's still doing it now. But it's a back-breaking job and very hard, so props to him doing it. From there, once I had finished, I knew that I needed to get a piece of paper. In this life, lots of things require a little piece of paper with a tick on. So that was my thought behind it. So then I found an apprenticeship in construction, so high-rise building. And I ended up getting doing my 4-year apprenticeship in carpentry.
Then carpentry was actually really good for us.
Carpentry was good.
Good for us, but not for Adam's lifestyle.
Yeah, you pretty much work 6 days a week, 6 to 6.
Yeah. And he'd work in Brisbane, so he'd have to get up at 3, leave, get on a train, blah, blah, blah. See me never come home, eat and go to sleep.
Yeah. And then when we started to have children, our first child, it was just a bit more of like, oh, you can't really keep doing this.
What's important?
You can't do this for 50 more years because you'll never see your family. So as soon as I finished my apprenticeship, we made a decision we saved a bit of money where we could kind of live for 6 months without having to have a proper job.
Jobs, yeah.
So I would find job in between, but I ended up starting with a friend from our church. She was starting a boot camp for ladies, and I ended up jumping on that. And then that sort of went for a little bit, got me started. And then I jumped into, someone invited me, I think it was Harry Arthur, invited to my first ever CrossFit gym.
Where are you, Harry? You don't even do CrossFit anymore.
So he took me to the very first one, because we used to do something similar in our backyard. He said, "Oh, come on down. They're just starting." So it was CrossFit Burley. And then once I went there, I sort of fell in love with CrossFit and wanted to know and learn so much more. And then the coach and the owner, Taryn, was probably my number one teacher and still is one of the best teachers or coaches that I know. And she taught me pretty much everything. I ended up being there for a little bit, and then she said, and I said, "Hey, I want to be able to do this. I want to work." So for me at the time, because I couldn't afford to go to the CrossFit gym because we didn't have a super amount of money at that time, I was like, "Hey, is there something I can do for you? Help out?" And she goes, "Hey, I need someone to clean the gym. We're just new, but it takes me a bit of time. So if you come on a Saturday, you clean the whole gym. Here's the list. This is what I want you to do." She goes, "You can come to the classes. You can learn."
And that has been what you have brought into our gyms, is the way Taryn would have her gym, or how she would present her gym, is now how we try to present our gyms with, the utmost cleanliness and
spotless. She was spotless. I remember even doing the wire brushes on the barbells. 10 to 15 barbells lined up, wire brush all of them, oil them every weekend. And that's just how she taught me. So I'm like, from there, taking that, I thank her for that, because now it's taught me to have everything I see is clean and tidy. You keep your gym immaculate. People like it. But then
people appreciate it.
We also adopted the same thing in the gym. Some people go through hard times, so they can't afford membership, but training is their life. So, we adopted the same thing that she did for me, and then give them the opportunity to help out around the gym so they can come to classes.
You help us and we can help you.
Because sometimes it's not all about money. Yes, you need money to be able to live, but
it's also about
helping
others
more important.
And it helps our community as well.
It's giving a shirt off the back to someone who needs it is a big thing that we believe in.
Mm-hmm. So, just to wrap it up, what advice do you have for others that are maybe wanting to start a business or on the verge of, but not too sure what to do, or if they should or not? What advice would you give them?
In this generation, you don't need a piece of paper to say you can have a business. You can create anything that you want, and you can make it the best you can make it. It's up to you. You choose something that you're good at, and then you run with it. Don't be scared and think you have to work for somebody, because just think about working from 9 to 5 every day. Someone tells you when to come to work, someone tells you when to go home. That's the thing that I couldn't do. So I wanted more, and to create my own time. Everything's about time. Time you spend with your family, time you spend doing what you want to do. And then by having your own business and your own life, you create that time and however you want to work it. So it's all about just having a go. If you never start, you'll never know. That's our kind of saying that we have. If you never start, you'll never know. So just start. Even if it falls apart, you'll learn from that, and then you create something else.
Keep working through it.
And then you work harder for it. But the main thing is you need to work hard. If you don't work hard and you're lazy, things start to fall. When you work hard, it starts to build and build, but never get complacent. If you're complacent, if you think you're successful, one day it'll just collapse, and then you'll have nothing. So always keep working at it. It's a work in progress. Never give up.
Never give up. Awesome. Thank you, Adam. And thank you for listening, guys. That's us for now. We are the Mansys. We'll check you out. Or check us out, sorry. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.